Ryan Reynolds has spent years building a reputation as the wisecracking Hollywood sweetheart, a guy seemingly incapable of taking himself, or anyone else, too seriously. But beneath the sarcastic tweets and playful social media banter, a different portrait is beginning to emerge. From rumors of controlling behavior with co-stars and directors to unsettling allegations about how he treats people working behind the scenes, an ever-growing number of stories suggest that the actor might be the very opposite of his public persona. The makeup artist incident in particular has opened the floodgates, prompting many to ask whether Ryan is truly the laid-back guy he plays on screen, or a power-obsessed figure more concerned with image and control than genuine collaboration. Word of the Deadpool 2 fiasco started circulating after an inside source claimed that Ryan Reynolds delivered an ultimatum to his personal makeup artist: return to the set immediately, or never work in Hollywood again. The original makeup artist was out of the country, presumably juggling other projects like most freelance professionals do. Instead of hiring a replacement, which would have been easy in a town brimming with skilled artists, Ryan allegedly demanded that this one person drop everything and report back on the spot. The disturbing part isn't just that he asked someone to return, it's the towering threat that accompanied it. Telling someone they'll be blacklisted from the entire industry if they don't comply goes beyond typical Hollywood drama. It suggests an attempt to strong-arm someone's career, a move that, if true, reveals an alarming sense of entitlement. What rattled insiders even more was the notion that the studio itself backed down, worried about crossing the star who'd effectively seized creative control over the project. It's one thing to have a massive ego, but it's another to openly flex it in a way that could alter someone's livelihood. This rumor alone might be enough to alter the nice guy narrative Ryan Reynolds so carefully constructed. Yet, it's only the first crack in an increasingly shaky facade. Ryan's comedic persona once seemed refreshingly genuine. He'd post playful jabs at fellow actors, exchange teasing tweets with his wife, Blake Lively, and crack jokes during interviews that made him appear unguarded and spontaneous. Many believed this was the real Ryan, a comedic genius who never took himself too seriously. But as reports of controlling behavior emerged, the line between comedic shtick and genuine disregard for others began to blur. Some who've worked with him say he's as condescending as he is sarcastic, targeting co-stars or lower-level crew members with barbs that don't feel like jokes. Others claim his harmless deadpan style is actually a way to belittle people without owning up to it. When the makeup artist story came out, it snapped public attention onto the possibility that maybe Ryan's humor is a shield, a way of disguising a hunger for power beneath a comedic front. The trouble doesn't end with the makeup artist fiasco. Multiple accounts suggest that Ryan Reynolds has a history of steamrolling creative teams. Tim Miller, the original Deadpool director, parted ways with the sequel amid whispers of creative differences, but industry chatter points to something more serious. Some say Ryan wanted the final word on everything, from script edits to cinematography choices, and effectively pushed Miller out by refusing to compromise. It's a pattern that feels consistent with the idea of a star who insists on my way or the highway. Whether it's firing longtime collaborators for not being on set at the snap of a finger, or overshadowing a director until he quits, the stories keep piling up. Each time, Ryan's fans might write off the rumors as unsubstantiated or twisted by the media. But with so many consistent allegations, from multiple sources, people are starting to pay closer attention. If you scan celebrity interviews from just a few years ago, you'll see Ryan Reynolds and Jake Gyllenhaal acting like Hollywood's favorite bromance duo. They appeared together at events, swapped jokes in viral interviews, and seemed to have the kind of chemistry that draws fans in by the millions. Then, as quickly as it started, their public friendship fizzled. Jake now avoids questions about Ryan altogether, shutting down any inquiry with a stony, "I have nothing to say about him." That's a steep drop from their playful public banter. Meanwhile, actress Rebecca Ferguson worked on a film with Reynolds, widely believed to be Life 2017, and implied that her A-list co-star was so unpleasant that she'd rather act opposite a tennis ball than share a scene with him. It's rare for an actor to go on record about a negative experience, but her strong words indicate a deeply uncomfortable working environment. Things get more complicated when you factor in TJ Miller, who played Weasel in the Deadpool series. He mentioned Reynolds was weirdly mean in a way that felt personal, not comedic. Marina Baccarin, the main love interest in the first Deadpool, saw her role massively reduced in the sequel after apparently clashing with Ryan as well. Once you notice the pattern, it's hard to brush these incidents off as coincidences. Before his marriage to Blake Lively, Ryan was briefly wed to Scarlett Johansson and engaged to musician Alanis Morissette for years before that. Both exes have, in different ways, hinted at jealousy and insecurity. Alanis wrote songs about a shattered relationship that many assumed to be referencing Ryan, repeatedly using the word insecure to describe her former partner. Scarlett, meanwhile, described him as passive-aggressively jealous, raising eyebrows about whether the comedic front might be a veneer for deeper control issues. When Ryan pivoted to Blake Lively, many saw them as an upgraded power couple, one star rebranding himself as the comedic leading man, the other climbing from CW stardom to more ambitious film roles. Their social media presence became a hallmark of their relationship. Lots of witty digs at one another, playful Instagram posts, carefully orchestrated paparazzi shots with the kids. For a while, it worked. Fans hailed them as Hollywood's couple goals, but the constant show of public affection sometimes feels strategic, as though the relationship is more brand synergy than genuine spontaneity. What truly shattered the bubble, though, was the Fox News segment that first exposed the alleged meltdown involving Ryan's makeup artist. That coverage forced a conversation about how Reynolds really acts when cameras are off. It's one thing for internet gossip columns to spin a rumor. It's another when a major network runs a story on it and references an inside source from the studio. Supposedly, Ryan's meltdown was so severe that even top executives felt cornered. With the success of the first Deadpool, he'd gained enough influence to override standard protocol. Threatening to blacklist a single makeup artist might seem minor in the grand scheme of Hollywood drama, but it's also a glaring example of power run amok. It reveals a petty streak that, once recognized, can't easily be unseen. The question many are asking, if he'll go that far to control something as routine as makeup, what else might he be doing behind the scenes? Could the fallout with directors, co-stars, and potential new collaborators be part of a broader pattern? Hollywood can be fiercely protective of A-listers, especially those who bring major box office returns. But even Tinseltown has its limits. Quentin Tarantino once mocked Ryan's Netflix films, basically saying he couldn't be bothered to watch them. Gerard Butler had no idea what Ryan's movie Free Guy was and dismissed it outright. If the industry heavyweights are starting to speak so casually about ignoring Ryan's projects, that's a clear sign of diminishing goodwill. In this environment, the fiasco with the makeup artist resonates as an emblem of a bigger issue. An actor who wants absolute control, even at the risk of damaging his relationships and reputation. Directors passing him over for new projects, actors refusing to play along with his brand, and major film insiders hinting they'd rather avoid him all paint a picture that stands in sharp contrast to the comedic star fans thought they knew. As more people come forward with their accounts, whether it's TJ Miller describing weird hostility or behind-the-scenes staff describing intimidation tactics, Ryan's well-oiled PR machine seems less capable of smoothing it all over. The repeated talk of him turning sets into personal fiefdoms tarnishes that once adorable public image. After all, a good-natured star doesn't threaten a makeup artist's career just because they're absent for a reshoot. A big chunk of Ryan's brand was his everyman relatability, the star you could picture meeting in a coffee shop, who'd crack a joke at his own expense. But the further these controversies spread, the harder it is to reconcile the on-screen persona with the alleged real-life demands. At some point, the stories start overshadowing the brand. Nobody knows if Ryan will attempt yet another rebrand. Maybe he'll double down on comedic roles, hoping to drown out the negative press with new hits. Maybe he'll sideline certain voices until they fade into the background. Hollywood is a place where redemption arcs are commonplace, if the box office numbers hold up. But when the allegations involve blackballing, tyrannical behavior, and belittling co-workers, the industry may grow weary of constantly covering for someone's misplaced ego. Fans, too, are turning more skeptical. when a star's entire image hinges on that goofy, relatable persona. Stories of callous power plays can spark a backlash that no number of witty social media posts can fix. The makeup artist debacle has become a kind of litmus test. If even half of that story is true, then perhaps the difference between Ryan Reynolds the star and Ryan Reynolds the person is bigger than anyone realized. A man who once inspired near universal admiration now appears to be on shaky ground, isolated from some of his former friends, scorched in the press, and questioned by fans who feel misled. Whether he can pivot, own up to these claims, or address them in any meaningful way remains to be seen. But for now, one thing is certain. The cracks in his cheery public mask have been laid bare, revealing an unsettling portrait that Hollywood, and the world, may not soon forget. Ryan Reynolds' story is a case study in what happens when a meticulously crafted public image collides head-on with behind-the-scenes accounts of questionable behavior. From the alleged firing threats against a makeup artist to co-star feuds, directorial spats, and ex-partners hinting at deep-seated insecurities, every new accusation chips away at the charming facade he's marketed for years. The question left hanging is whether these revelations mark a permanent turning point or just a temporary storm that Ryan will weather. Fans once saw him as the ultimate charismatic star, but now the conversation revolves around how real that persona ever was. No matter how this saga unfolds, the takeaway is that the truth about a celebrity's character can only stay hidden for so long. Eventually, enough stories surface, and the public is forced to reevaluate everything it once believed. In Ryan Reynolds' case, the biggest casualty of this controversy might be the trust people placed in his self-styled nice guy image.